Imagine this. You and your partner sit across from each other. The room is quiet, but there's an unspoken tension in the air. You love each other, but lately something feels off. Misunderstandings, doubts, distance creeping in. Sarah and Tom were deeply in love, but something was undeniably wrong. The spark that once ignited their relationship seemed to be fading, replaced by a growing sense of unease and frustration. They found themselves arguing more frequently than they used to. What were once minor disagreements had now escalated into full-blown arguments. Little things like forgetting to take out the trash or leaving dishes in the sink became big fights. The tension was palpable, and it seemed like every small issue was a trigger for a larger conflict. They felt increasingly disconnected, as if an invisible wall had been erected between them. The emotional distance grew, and they struggled to find common ground. "I just don't understand you sometimes," Sarah sighed after one particularly heated argument. Tom felt the same way, but he didn't know how to bridge the gap. "I want to be close to you, but I don't know how anymore," Tom admitted, his voice tinged with sadness. They both longed for the intimacy they once shared, but felt lost in how to reclaim it. They knew they needed to fix this. The love they had for each other was still there, buried beneath the layers of misunderstanding and hurt. They decided to take action before it was too late. They loved each other deeply and didn't want to drift further apart. They remembered the good times, the laughter, and the joy they once shared. They were determined to find a way back to that place. That's when they decided to try trust exercises. They enrolled in a relationship workshop that focused on rebuilding trust and communication. It was a step out of their comfort zone, but they were willing to try anything to save their relationship. Through these exercises, they hoped to tear down the wall that had come between them. They wanted to rediscover the connection that had brought them together in the first place. Could they learn to trust each other again and rebuild their connection? Only time would tell, but they were committed to the journey, hopeful that love would guide them back to each other. The first exercise was called the trust fall. One person stood with their back to their partner, arms crossed over their chest. The other stood a few steps behind. The idea was simple. The person in front would close their eyes and let themselves fall backward, trusting their partner to catch them. This exercise was designed to build a physical sense of trust, a feeling of safety and support in each other's arms. It seemed easy enough, but for Sarah and Tom, it felt terrifying. Could they really trust each other to be there? Sarah took a deep breath and volunteered to fall first. She closed her eyes, but fear kept her feet glued to the ground. "I can't," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if you're not there?" Tom stepped closer, his voice soft and reassuring. "I'm here, Sarah. I'll catch you. Trust me." Hesitantly, Sarah started to lean back, but at the last moment she opened her eyes and stopped. She couldn't bring herself to fully let go. This exercise, meant to be simple, was revealing the depth of their trust issues. They realized that rebuilding trust wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. Speaking from the heart. It's a phrase that often gets thrown around, but what does it really mean? For many couples, it means opening up in ways that can feel vulnerable and raw. It means sharing your deepest thoughts and feelings, even when it's uncomfortable. In this chapter, we explore the journey of one couple as they navigate the complexities of heartfelt communication. Next, they tried a communication exercise called mirroring. This exercise is designed to help partners truly hear and understand each other. It's not just about listening. It's about reflecting back what you hear to ensure clarity and empathy. They sat facing each other, and one person would speak about their feelings, using I statements. This method encourages ownership of one's emotions and reduces the likelihood of the other person feeling attacked or blamed. The other person would listen carefully and then repeat back what they heard, without adding their own opinions or judgments. This step is crucial because it ensures that the speaker feels heard and understood, which is often half the battle in effective communication. This was harder than it sounded. The exercise required patience and a willingness to set aside one's own thoughts and reactions temporarily. It was a challenge, but one that promised great rewards. "I feel like you don't listen to me sometimes," Sarah said, her voice tight. It was a moment of vulnerability, and she hoped Tom would understand the depth of her feelings. Tom's immediate instinct was to defend himself. He felt a surge of emotions, wanting to explain his side, to justify his actions. But he knew that wasn't the point of the exercise. But he stopped, took a breath, and said, "You feel like I don't listen to you." It was a simple reflection, but it carried weight. It showed Sarah that he was truly trying to understand her perspective. Sarah nodded, feeling heard for the first time in a while. It was a small victory, but a significant one. In that moment, she felt a connection that had been missing for some time. The act of simply reflecting her feelings without judgment or interruption was surprisingly powerful. It was a reminder that sometimes the most profound connections are made not through grand gestures, but through the simple act of truly listening and understanding each other. Bridges of understanding. As they continued the exercises, something started to shift. The trust fall remained a challenge, but they kept trying, their laughter filling the room as they occasionally stumbled. With each attempt, they gained a little more confidence in each other. The communication exercise helped them understand each other's feelings better. Instead of interrupting or getting defensive, they practiced listening and validating each other's experiences. They discovered that it wasn't about always agreeing, but about creating a safe space for honesty and vulnerability. Closer than ever. The exercises weren't a magic solution, but they were a starting point. They provided a structured way for Sarah and Tom to address the issues that had been festering for years. Each exercise was designed to peel back the layers of misunderstanding and resentment that had built up over time. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when they both wanted to give up. But they persevered, knowing that their relationship was worth the effort. They helped Sarah and Tom break down the wall between them and start rebuilding their trust. Trust that had been eroded by years of miscommunication and unmet expectations. Slowly but surely, they began to see each other not as adversaries, but as partners in this journey. They started to remember why they fell in love in the first place, and those memories became the foundation upon which they could rebuild. They learned to communicate more openly and honestly, to listen without judgment, and to express their feelings without fear of retribution. These conversations were not always comfortable, but they were necessary. They discovered that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a strength that brought them closer together. They began to share their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future, and to support each other with empathy and understanding. They realized that they were not alone in their struggles, and that leaning on each other made them stronger. They started to see each other as allies rather than opponents. This shift in perspective was crucial in healing the wounds of the past and building a more resilient relationship. The physical act of catching each other in the trust fall, even if it was still a work in progress, had a powerful impact on their emotional bond. It was a tangible reminder that they could rely on each other, that they were a team. Each successful catch was a small victory, a step towards rebuilding the trust that had been lost. It was a metaphor for their relationship, sometimes shaky, but always striving to be stronger. They were reminded that they were there for each other, ready to catch each other when they stumbled. This newfound sense of security allowed them to take risks, to be more open and honest with each other. They knew that even if they fell, they would not fall alone. This assurance gave them the courage to face their challenges head-on, knowing that they had each other's backs. Their journey wasn't over, but they felt closer than they had in a long time. They understood that there would be more obstacles ahead, but they were ready to face them together. They had learned that love was not just a feeling but a choice to support, to trust, and to grow together. And in making that choice every day, they found themselves closer than ever. Your turn to connect. Trust is the foundation of any strong relationship. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to be vulnerable with each other. If you're facing challenges in your relationship, consider trying these trust-building exercises. Remember to be patient, kind, and understanding with each other. Building trust is a journey, not a destination. Take the first step towards a stronger, more connected relationship. You might be surprised at the difference it makes.